Today we're looking at Psalms 144, and it's interesting how I've looked at some of the Psalms to come that we entered into a realm to where it seems a lot of these Psalms are very Davidic in feel, in emotive, in word choice. After you've read Psalms and read all of these Psalms, you start to get a feel for when they change authors. They're written by different persons. We know they're written at different times. Sometimes we threw in something from later on, like near the Babylonian captivity. Most of them are David. Some of them might be Solomon. Some of them are just different people we don't know. This one has a feel of David to it. I kind of looked at some of the others, and it looks like they're either someone like David or somebody influenced strongly by David. Here he goes, "Blessed be the Lord my strength, which teaches my hands to war and my fingers to fight." He's not the only one that ever did this, but the inflections, the moods, right off the bat. And it says a song of David here, but I don't trust those. Like I said, you make your decision based on the internal, not some external, oh, well, some other guy made that decision for you, and you go, well, Psalm of David. Recognize that it's David before someone tells you and your reasonings why. That's how the grid works. So, my goodness and my fortress, my high tower, my deliverer, my shield, and he in whom I trust, who subdueth my people under me. Very kingly, very Davidic. Lord, what is man that thou should take knowledge of him, or the son of man that thou should make account of him? Again, we've kind of heard that one before. What is man that thou art mindful of him, and the son of man that thou visitest him? Again, very Davidic. Man is like vanity. His days are a shadow that passes away. Now, it could, those are where it seems like also that David drew some inferences that Solomon would later see, and we see this in the book of Ecclesiastes. Bow thy heavens, O Lord, and come down. Touch the mountains, and they will smoke. The idea of the coming of God is it's a powerful thing. It's lightnings. Send forth thy hand from above. Rid me and deliver me out of great waters, out of the hands of strange children. And we see the idea of strange here. That word strange comes up. It's not just strange in a, we think of something strange. It's an out of place thing. It's seeing someone or something that's out of place, and it's strange that would be over there. I could think of several things, but not going to grab one right now. But the idea of something that shouldn't be there, it's like finding a blender near your engine of your, popping the hood and there's a blender in with your engine. It's like, what would that be doing there? Finding a coffee maker inside your inside your washing machine or something. Just trying to draw some hyperbole. Something that's completely out of kilter, that's strange, that shouldn't be there, that really has no purpose, and kind of even gets in the way. It destroys the motif, it destroys the beauty, it destroys the functionality. It's just strange to have it done that way. We can understand that. Children that shouldn't be there, these children are not following Yahweh, they're not following God, they're doing their own things. Their mouths speak vanity, and the right hand is the right hand of falsehood. I will sing a new song unto thee, the things that you're doing to me, the new things you're doing for me. It is he that giveth salvation unto kings, who delivered David his servant from the hurtful sword. Once again, they would use, the guy who wrote a Psalm of David did grab some of these, but he cheated. He did the work for you. I'm asking you to do the work. You see your reasons why you think this is from David. And I know it says David in there. It's a dead giveaway. But the first time you read it, did you see that? Did you see it? Or did you just let someone else lead you? This is where you're making the decisions. Rid me and deliver me in the hands of strange children. Mentions that again, whose mouth speaks vanity. When we speak children here, we're not talking about children as in, of course, children, but like the children of Belial. Someone that you're a child of, not in the sense of they're your parents so much as they're your leader, they're your figurative. Older men could be children of Belial. So you get that idea. So here, rid me and deliver me from strange children, that our sons may be as plants grown up from youth, and our daughters may be cornerstones. And so that our oxen may be strong in labor, and there's no breaking, and there's no complaining in our streets. God wants to make, and it sounds strange to say this, happy people, contented people, people that have benefit from being with him. Sometimes we feel like coming to God, there's no benefit to it, I'm just going to worship him. But that's the false gods. The false gods have nothing to offer you. You offer to them. You are there to appease them. You are there to work with them. And he is here to work with you for your benefit. Ask and see. Taste and see that the Lord is good. That kind of analogy. Happy is the people that in such a case, happy be that people whose God is the Lord. Now, there's funny that we have these statements. You have the Lord is thy God, the Lord thy God, okay, but the God is your Lord. So anyway, the God of all the people, the God of everyone, the God of the planet. Remember, Elohim is the word used for the planetary God, can be your Yahweh, and he also can be your Adonai. So, very good Davidic psalm, and has a lot of strength to it. Go ahead and read over it again. It has a lot of strength to it and perspective on how mighty he is. Going back to, we're in 1 Kings, and unfortunately, like yesterday, I should have left Solomon on a high note, but I kind of left him, where he was with his wives. And I think it's appropriate. It kind of starts to dovetail his life. We see what happens next as he gets replaced by a couple of kings. But I don't want to put him down. I want us to stop and realize that his fall took 20 to 30 years. He reigned for 40 years. And when he followed Yahweh, that's when things were really great. When he followed Yahweh, that was when they had cedars like sycamores. That's when silver was so plentiful. It was like stones in the streets. That was when that happened. And the falling of him in chapter 11 did not happen overnight. It was a gradual thing. These women that wore him down and him giving in, they led him, but can I worship my God? I want to worship God. I want to worship my God in my house. You can't tell me what to do. I'm in my house. My dad gave me this house. Remember that Pharaoh gave Pharaoh's daughter the house, and Solomon built it. It's my dad's house. I'll do what I want. And instead of standing up and maybe cleansing his house, either through divorce or whatever, you don't want to kill the women, but you need to straighten up things that are going awry. He gave in. And then he became backing their play. All of a sudden, he's backing the building of groves. All of a sudden, he's backing the lifting up of these gods. He's seeing what they're doing. He's knowing that they are standing against the God of his God and the God of David. And he does nothing about it like Eli did. Remember, Eli did nothing. He joins in and he starts building and he starts worshiping these gods. And of course, God gets mad. Now, you have to realize also that Israel was not innocent in this. It seems like good kings encourage people to be good, but evil kings encourage people to be evil. The people are neutral in a sense that they're going to follow how the king goes to an extent. The idea that, if the king allows it, I want to do this. Oh, I can do this now. Licentiousness is really close to liberty. We have to realize that the two are right bookends. They're just books slammed against one another. They're not bookends, they're books that slammed against one another. You see one and the other, they're side by side. We always have to be careful that with our liberty, that's why in the New Testament it says not to sin, even though you have liberty to do things. Paul talks about everything's expedient, but not everything is profitable. The idea, but the people gave in, and to an extent. Again, we're talking about not just sinning for a few days, but we're sinning for years, and this builds up, and it creates this avalanche. It creates this focus that these people are actually wanting to do. It didn't take them long in Sinai. Remember, it didn't take long. Build a calf, and they started following, and they started doing their orgy and doing their things. It didn't take long, and it never takes long from here on out for Israel to go ahead and sin against God. And it's not just sinning with, I'm just gonna kill this land. It's always sinning in actions that hurt someone else. The actions of hypersexuality, the actions of abortion, the actions of lawlessness, the actions of terrible economy and putting your thumb on others and creating, highwaymen and thieves and robbers and just out and out murderers. Who's going to get me? The king has allowed us to do anything we want. And God even gets in the game. This is a problem. We always think God's up there neutral, rubbing his hands, going, oh, please be good, please be good. He will either be for you, and cedars will be like sycamores, and silver will be like stones, or he will be against you, and he will start planning against you and moving your enemies against you, just like chess pieces on a board, because he's trying to bring you back, or, and in this case, he's judging. We see this come back again with Assyria. We see this come back again with Babylon. We see that he is going to judge. He's going to take out 10 tribes, put them up north, and they will later on get scattered into the world. And then Judah will be left, and then Judah will go up into Babylon and come back down in repentance with Nehemiah. Total show. But he stirs up Hadad the Edomite, and he gives the story of Hadad, how that when Joab was in Edom fighting, that he went down and lived in Pharaoh's court, and Pharaoh raised him, and Pharaoh loved him, and Pharaoh lifted him up and gave him his own daughter, his wife's sister. And later on, when this guy Hadid saw that Solomon reigned and David was dead, he wanted to move back into Edom, which is in the south part, and so he created this bulwark down here, this enemy in the south. Now, at the same time, God rose up Hezron up in Damascus, which is in the north. So we have a northern enemy, we have a southern enemy, and they're getting primed. They're still just getting started. But we see that God is raising these enemies up. And we have to realize, when you're in sin and that depth of sin, God will become your enemy. But he won't destroy Judah. He has proclaimed that he will hold on to Judah because of David, because of his promise to David. And so he says this. There's a fellow named Jeroboam. And when you think of Jeroboam, I want you to think of the northern territory, the northern 10 tribes. Think Jeroboam and 10, J10. Think of J10, and you'll always know that Jeroboam belongs to 10. We're going to meet a guy named Rehoboam, R1. Rehoboam had 1 tribe. So to keep these guys straight right off the bat, we're going to meet all kinds of characters. We have this problem when we were dealing with David and some of those, that all these people came into play. They came on the scene. It was like Shakespearean play. Who's this new person? So Jeroboam, 10. New person on the 10 tribes. So he is the daughter of a servant in the house of Solomon. Solomon sees him and sees him a man of valor, lifts him up to a position over the house of Joseph. And there is a prophet that comes to Jeroboam, and Jeroboam was walking, and the prophet runs up to him, and Jeroboam is wearing a new garment. He takes the new garment that Jeroboam is and tears off 12 pieces. And he tears off these pieces, and he gives 10 of them to Jeroboam. And this is a prophecy that God is giving you these 10. He's giving you these 10 tribes. This is part of the judgment. This is not part of the kingdom. But he also tells them, I will not take the whole kingdom out of David's hands, but I will make him prince all the days of his life, if he will keep my commandments. So he tells Jeroboam the same thing he told Solomon. I'm setting up this kingdom with you, and if you will follow me, things will go well. They'll go better. Things will go well. But if you don't, it's the same kind of deal. And that deal goes with everybody, and that deal goes from there through today. You know, the idea that if you'll follow me, things will go great. If you choose to follow me, things will go bad. If you keep not following me, I will get in the game and make things worse. That's actually the book of Revelation right there. He says, I'll keep 1 tribe of my servant for David's sake, for Jerusalem's sake, the city that I've chosen out of the 12 tribes. But because they have forsaken me and worshipped Ashtoreth and Chemosh of the Moabs and Milcom of the Ammons, and have not walked in my ways, and do that which is right in mine eyes, and kept my statutes and judgments as David did, everyone loses. Everyone was doing this. But he's breaking this up. He's setting up to where, instead of just going in with a plague or a pestilence like it did in the past, he's going to introduce the sword. And he's doing this slowly. He's breaking up, tearing it apart, just like you would if you were working on, a doctor would do to separate out a cancer, to get ready to take a transplant or move something out, to remove an organ or something. That's what we're doing here. We're sequestering people, and they're sequestering themselves. We'll see this later on in 12, that the people decide to run to their tents. God isn't chasing them out. If you want your sin, go over there. If you want to follow Yahweh, come down here. And we see that happen, by the way. People have this erroneous understanding of the lost tribes, the lost 10 tribes. They weren't lost. People that wanted to worship Ashtoreth and Molech and all these gods and Domelech and all of these guys, they ran up north. They lived there. People that lived in Naphtali and Zebulun and Dan and Asher and Manasseh, who wanted to worship Yahweh, came down and dwelled. It says the dwellers, not the tribes. Now, the tribe was held by God, but dwellers could come down from all 12 tribes. And we have those tribes represented today in Israel. We even know that all the tribes come back. They're still in existence in the end times. So there is no lost 12 tribes. That's fiction created just because people haven't read their Bibles or understood what it has to say. And I'll take the kingdom out of his son's hands and give it unto thee. 10 tribes, he's talking to him. It's Jeroboam. And unto my son I will give one tribe, that David may have a light before me in Jerusalem. And I'll take thee, and I'll have thee reign, and all thy soul desireth, you will be over the king of Israel. And it shall be, if you will hearken unto me, that I will command thee, and will walk in my ways, and that is right in my sight, and keep my statutes and my commandments, as David did. Again, the same idea. So he did the first. Now Solomon didn't like this. We don't know exactly what's going on. Sometimes the Bible is cryptic. It doesn't give you a lot of background. You just have to go with the fact that Solomon chased after Jeroboam. He knew that was happening. We don't know. He couldn't be like Eli and say, well, God's will be done. I messed up. I'm behind this. He pushes against it. And we have Jeroboam run back down to Egypt for a while because of Solomon going against it. And it says the rest of the acts of Solomon's were here. And the time of Solomon reigned was 40 years. And again, the idea of it takes 40 years. This wasn't an overnight fall. It was gradual. It was the fact that he was probably trying to save them, to woo them, to talk with them, to send ambassadors to them. There might have been more prophets. They just don't want to listen. They want the gods they want. And if you want those gods and not Yahweh, then he will become your enemy. America, listen up. And he slept with his fathers David, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. Tomorrow we'll start talking about Rehoboam. And this gets very interesting from here on out. Things split up. Spoilers, there isn't a good king in Israel at all. Judah will have a handful of them, but it's like 1 in 3 are good, the rest of them are bad. So we have to realize that that's how it goes from here, but that's okay. I'm not going to say God is in control. God is moving. If you want to be on his side, choose to be on his side. If you don't want to be on his side, he will be against you as much as he wants to be for you. So choose who you will serve.